Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, where we're checking out a brand new Rlaarlo. No, not one of these. And yes, Rlaarlo are known for doing a lot of speedrun cars, but this is something a bit different for them. Well, it's the first time they've attempted to do a rally car. A rally car. Now, there's two versions of this. Wrong. Actually, there's three. There's the poverty spec one, the one with the drippy white livery. Then there's the I'm so fancy top of the range one, which is the black and neon yellow one, which is all singing, all dancing, carbony bits. Then the third one is actually the roller, the one that comes with a clear body, so you can paint it up like any real rally car. This is the XTS-F10. Catchy.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Rlaarlo product development meeting to discuss the branding on the new release. So we've used our latest AI to print out some UK powerful words, and we need to brainstorm the name for this product.
Several days later.
Being an engineer, the most obvious and logical is to use the product name M658RVF. Everybody knows exactly what model it is. Also, we can dictate what motor we use, or we could put a 459T on the end. This gives you the clearest possible understanding of the product. Well, from the sales side of it, I don't necessarily think our customers are really going to appreciate this, so maybe that's not the way to go. But we'll definitely keep it as a back burner, as it's probably a good way to go. And a lot of people seem to do this. I've got an idea. How about, well, it's a rally car, so rally, yeah, let's do rally. It's sharp and agile, so maybe a sword, maybe. Swordfishes, they're quite fast, so yeah, swordfish, yeah, okay. And then it's an extreme product, so we're going to go with extreme. So what do we say, guys? Rally, swordfish, extreme. How about that for a name? Well, it's pretty close. I kind of like it. Maybe we could just polish this up a little bit more. I think we're onto something good here, guys, so stick with it. Maybe extreme to research. Extreme to research, I'm liking it. And we're a group, so yeah, let's have group in there. So extreme to research group. And it's a rally, So yes, I think we've got it. Here we go. The new product is going to be extreme to research group rally. What do you think, guys? Yes, it's definitely going to work. Ugh.
Catchy. Yep, seriously. XTS-F10. Alright, now there's going to be tons and tons of videos out on this car, so I thought, well, why do the same as everybody else? So in this episode, and for my kind of audience, now a lot of you might have already seen that this car has the 257mm wheelbase, so a lot of you are going to be going, ooh, does that mean we can put lots of cool Tamiya bodies on it? Well, this is what we're going to find out. Also, I'm going to do some modifications to it. Yes, it's a brand new car, and I'm going to change it and modify it a little bit in this episode, as there's so many videos of people showing you all the specifications and then just going and running it around a skate park. Well, in my defense, I am a bit of an idiot, so expect this video to be a smorgasbord of randomness. So I thought I would do something a little bit different and just show you one or two modifications that you can do as soon as you get yours to make it a little bit better. So if that interests you, well, you better stay tuned. So to give you a quick overview, just in case for some miraculous reason you haven't seen 500 videos on this yet, this is the poverty spec version, and then the carbon version is the black and green one. Now the main difference from what I can see, and originally I thought it had a carbon chassis and then the cheaper one was an alloy chassis, not the case. They're both exactly the same. What it seems to be is ESC is different, motor is different, as is there's a few carbon bits sprinkled all over it. So in this one, you've got a 2852 brushless motor with a 3800 kV. Whereas if you go for the top of the line one, you're going to get a 3650 motor with 3300 kV. So lower rotation but more torque, or higher rotation, lower torque. Yeah? I think that's right. And then the ESCs, the 60 amp is in the top of the range and 45 amp is in the lower range, but both of them do 2S and 3S. So which one should you go for? None of them. Get the roller. The roller is so much better. You can put your own electronics in it and you can pick and choose exactly what you want. And then going by the actual bells and whistles that you get on the car, well, a few bits of carbon on the bottom links and then a carbon top to the ESC fan is not going to add any real performance. Also, and the big one for me, is that you get a body that you can paint yourself, and there's so many really good rally cars that you could get some decals for and paint it up like a proper rally car. Not like this body design. Looks very similar to a very talented person who's not with us anymore, and being that it's not really official, I just don't like that. But personally, the top of the range version is a much nicer body than this one, even though I kind of slap the decals around as best I can to try and make it a little bit different, if you will. But obviously that's personal choice. That's not going to do anything from a performance point of view. Being that I love my cars and I like to build them, would rather see this as a real rally car, painted up properly, being a bit more real. And the reason I say that is because I think Rlaarlo did a really good job on the body. The lights they've done are fantastic, and if you look at some of the Tamiya decals that you get on like the Ford Focus, they're awful, whereas on this one you get proper lights. So because Rlaarlo did such a good job on this body, I think you could really go to town on it. Now the first modification I've done is just an example to show you, but lots of these cars come with the windows totally blanked out, which I really don't like. I personally like clear windows, but it's not a problem. You can fix this, and I've just done a small bit to show you that it is possible to actually remove the decal off the window. Then you can remove the paint behind it using a bit of Tamiya polycarbonate cleaner, and then you get a nice clear window. And you can, if you want to, cut out some of the decals and put them back on the glass, and it would look so much better. Now, it's not that difficult to do. It is a little bit time consuming, but you're going to need 1 to 2 bottles of Tamiya polycarbonate cleaner, which can be a little bit tricky to find. Now in the kit you get the usual gubbins, a spanner, some pull ties and some additional battery straps, and a USB charger that you never want to use because you've got a fast charger, so you don't have to charge it overnight. Then you also get a 2200 milliamp 3S battery that's tiny. Big car, little battery. And that was my other modification that I decided to do, is can you do away with this and put a proper 3S battery in it? Well, turns out you can. Now, if you've got a 3D printer, you can definitely improve on what I've done, but if you've got nothing at all apart from a drill, a couple of snips, you still can do it for yourself. Now, the official way that Rlaarlo want you to put a bigger battery in the car is to purchase their 4400 milliamp battery. Also, in the actual kit comes some extra straps and a few plates so that you can adjust the car to accept that battery size. That's the R11061s you see, and you screw them down, put them on both sides, and then those 2 extra straps, that's when you use those to pull it tight. But if you want to use a normal sized LiPo battery like the hard case one that I have, then you've just got to get your tinkering on. Now, as you can see, I fitted a decent 4500 milliamp 3S LiPo. Yes, it doubles my runtime from what you've got here. And when you're out driving it in the mud and the dirt, swapping batteries over can be a real pain in the backside. So the good news is you can fit a decent battery. Now, from the stock car, the first thing you'll realize is the ESC is in the way of the battery. But Rlaarlo, in their wisdom, have given you a plate on the top, so it's a simple unpick, re-stick it down on the top of the chassis. Again, you've got loads of clearance, not going to be an issue. So that gives you a bit of space. So now you can actually put a battery in, but there's a big difference between making space and being able to hold it tight and secure so it's not going to flap around or fall out, especially when you're driving a rally car that's going to get bashed up a little bit. Yeah, I may have got a little bit carried away. So I had a genius idea to take the ESC plate that was underneath it, turn it on its side and screw it to the chassis. And it just so happens that that depth was perfect for me to have a battery clamped in between the original outside and then the inside. That worked brilliantly. Little bit of drilling, a few holes, sorted, no big issues. If you wanted to return it back to stock, you can as well. So it's not going to basically devalue your car. The next modification I did was on the other side. Now, being that the roller is available, I was kind of concerned about how much space there is and what options you can have to fit a motor in it. So looking at my one, there was 2 receiver boxes, one at the front on top of the servo and another one that's not used at all in the rear, which was kind of odd. But turns out it's a genius move by Rlaarlo, because I've removed the top one and then put everything in the back, which is much better because that's where all the electronics are. So running all the cables goes straight into the box and it makes it much cleaner. Now, to get rid of the now redundant front box, I thought you just unbolt it and take it off. Well, it turns out Rlaarlo have actually made the steering servo bolt to it, and the box is part of the way it mounts to the chassis. So ideally you need to get some aftermarket ones, which I don't have, but it turns out Rlaarlo has a whole sheet of upgrades, and on here is a set of alloy ones. Definitely worth doing later on once they become available. But that's not going to stop me, so I basically cut off the servo mounts, then I screwed it back to the chassis, and they work fine. So yes, if I decided I wanted to sell it, maybe I would change out the servo box again for a new one, but honestly, it's just so much cleaner. I'm a bit disappointed that the steering servo area is very small, but I'm happy to report, looking at it a bit more, this is a low profile standard 1/10 servo, and you're going to be able to get it in the car. And as Rlaarlo make the modified mount for this, so you can put a half-height servo in the car without drilling any holes, well, job's a good one. Now, being that this is a 1/10 rally car, how well that little servo is going to hold up, well, only time's going to tell. So take advantage of the rear receiver box. You do have to make one change to the fan on the motor mount. You just have to rotate it and put it back down again, as you need a little bit longer length, and it comes out the front. So if you spin it round, it means you get longer cable to go into the receiver box. What is really nice is then you have a much closer connection between the receiver box and the ESC, so all the wires fit neatly in right next to it. The on-off button is actually fixed on the back here, which means to get access to it, you have to pop the body every time. But now that the ESC is out the way, I put the power button on the chassis. Now the reason I did this is because you can reach up with your finger and turn the car on and off without actually opening and closing the body, which is brilliant. Again, when you're out, you've got a long battery, you get to drive it for as long as you want. Once the battery dies, you don't have to open the body up. You can just turn it off yourself by reaching up and turning it off with your finger. That making your life just that little bit easier. Now the big question is, can you swap out the body to something else? And this is where things go downhill fast. Yes, technically the wheelbase is perfect for a lot of the Tamiya cars, but there's a real issue, and it's not the wheelbase length, it's the track, especially at the front. The problem is that the track is so wide that it really limits the cars that are available. And I did try a few. I tried my Toyota rally car body, which is really chunky. Again, it's just too narrow at the front. Then I had an idea. The widest body that I've got is a Ford Sierra, so I thought I would try that. So I removed this body and then I fitted it up. The rear is fine, it's bang on, but the front is just too wide. So unfortunately, there is nothing I can think of that is going to fit the front of this. Now, another thing I've noticed is these wheels and tires are massive. They are way bigger than the Tamiya versions. I mean, they're almost getting up towards buggy size. So I swapped out these tires for some Tamiya ones, thinking maybe I can get some smaller offset. So I found the narrowest tires I can, and I fitted them to the car. And yes, the same problem, they still just stick out too far at the front. Now, there might be somewhere a very, very thick car that may work at the front. I honestly don't know. But I think that's going to be a real struggle. So trying to figure out what the actual track width at the front is and then matching it to another car. But I don't think Tamiya do anything that wide, apart from if you go to a Group C or something like that. But then putting a Group C body is not really going to work because it's a rally car, so you're looking for a rally body. That's why personally I am a big fan of getting the roller, as if you can get the body in clear, you could paint this up to be a really nice rally car, which I think is going to give you what you're looking for as a Tamiya kind of more realistic fan. And I'm sure you can find some MCI decals as well that will match to give you a more unique car. So I think I've waffled on enough, so let's take it for a bit of a spin in its stock form just to see how that chassis behaves. Well, in conclusion, I don't think I've been so wrong about a car before. This is absolutely amazing. And as you can see, I got very carried away and did things to this car that you just shouldn't do. But it's a total tank. I was absolutely gobsmacked at its performance out the box and just how much of a beating it can take. Yes, I will be getting one of these myself and spending my own money. I'm going to buy the roller. So no affiliate links, no BS. This thing is amazing.